Welcome back to the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast. And today we're getting a little controversial. Today I want to talk about why I don't work out with my kids around anymore, especially not my little kids. And as a mom, that might seem a little, what are you talking about, Rachel? I mean, I have to be around my kids. And I want to explain to you today why I have made this shift. And it's been a shift I've made in the past couple years. So, what I want to say is that if you are constantly feeling like you have to work out with your kids there in the same room with you, and that's the only way you get a workout in, then I'm going to argue that maybe you're not really training well. And I have some reasons for this, and I want to go through that because here's the thing. I really want you, when you go in to exercise, be it at home or at a gym, that's your time. It's for you. And when you have kids climbing all over you and you're having to stop to do this or deal with this or give out a snack or wipe up a spill or all of those things, then your time is not actually yours anymore. All right, so let me back up a little bit though, before you get too mad at me. So the reason I feel this way is that because I really believe that childcare is a job. And I mean, I love it. I love being a mom, but it requires you to be on. You have to be focused on your kids. Have you ever tried to do your meal planning with your kids around? That's awful, right? I've tried to do that before, and it's like you're constantly interrupted. Or to work, if you work from home. If your kids are home from school for a holiday, trying to get focused work done is really hard because your brain is going from work mode to kid mode, work mode to kid mode. And I would argue that strength training requires you to be on as well. So when you're watching your kids, you have to be on. Your nervous system is in a protect and nurture mode. Your brain is scanning for danger, anticipating their needs, ready to respond to them, and that is good. But when you're strength training, your nervous system is also on, but in a different way. You are challenging yourself, you're having to focus on your form and what your body is feeling in that moment. Are you pushing yourself hard enough? Are you staying safe? Is your core braced? There's so much that goes on when you lift weights, especially if you're training well, training using progressive overload. It requires a lot of focus. So when you have your brain trying to multitask, strength training and taking care of the kids, it means essentially that you're not doing either of them very well. Is that controversial? Maybe a little bit. I feel like it's the truth. It's been my experience anyway. You can send me an email and tell me if you disagree. But I really feel like it's not about, being a bad mom or like your circumstances. I think it's about the physiology of multitasking is not the ideal way to get things done. You're doing two things poorly instead of just doing one thing well. And when you do that, you could potentially hurt yourself because you're distracted during a movement that requires a lot of attention. You give up because you can't complete a single uninterrupted workout for 3 days. I've been there 100%. You just feel like you can't do it. I remember when one of my sons was going through something really, really hard. And even when I had childcare at the gym, they kept calling me because he was having such a hard time. And I just remember the incredible frustration I felt at my brain going from, I'm focused on this, I'm focused on these movements and this therapeutic, challenging thing that strength training is, and then being interrupted and having to go deal with something else and flipping between modes. And those workouts never went great. They never went great because I couldn't put 100% into either thing because I was having to multitask. And maybe that's where you're at. You're working out from home, but you've got all your kids around and you just feel like, well, I don't have time or I don't have, I'm going to talk about how to solve this. But at first I want us to understand that this could potentially be an issue, okay? The last thing though with this, and why I think that it's really important that if at all possible, you don't work out with your kids around, even if you're working out at home, is that I feel like you teach yourself that it's not really you time and your needs are optional. And your kids' needs are always going to win. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. We're mothers. So I don't want you to be reinforcing a habit of self-abandonment of, okay, I always have to abandon what I'm doing for them. Don't even do it. Don't even do it, okay? Set aside designated time for you and protect that time. So one of the things that's helped me with this, and it's been several years in the making, is I really take on the identity of an athlete with goals. That means that when I'm training or when I'm doing something, I'm not half doing it. I'm not just moving my body. And I remember a period of time several years ago when I was doing a lot of YouTube workouts and I didn't really have a lot of structure. I was just like, I got to do it at home because I stay home with my kids and this is the only time I can do it. And I realized that my kids would distract me like the whole time. And it made me realize that, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with the intentionality of an athlete. And, even now with older kids, I don't work out with them around because, and this is why, it's not that they would get in the way. Well, I can think of one of them would totally get in the way, but it's not that they would get in the way necessarily. It's that the point is that this is about me. That's the point. It's about me taking care of my body and being able to focus on myself for this tiny sliver of time. And then the rest of the day, I go back to being serving them and all about them or whatever. But I need this. I need this time for me, for my body, right? And I still think that that is absolutely modeling health for your kids. Now, I do train my oldest, but I only do that at the tail end of my workout when I'm doing my finisher exercise. So it doesn't take a lot of mental effort. I'm just finishing things up and she's starting and then we go into her training. But I really think that the thing that's been pivotal for me is seeing that this time is about me. It's not necessarily about the workout in itself, although that is very important. It's about me though. And so I still think you are modeling health for your kids, even if you're not working out with them right there, because you're showing them mom is worth taking time to intentionally focus on herself. And that's what a mom does. That's what a healthy mom does. And then they see your intention. They see you come back and you're in a better mood. And they see how gradually over time, mom is less stressed out. She's more calm. Her nervous system's more regulated. And they learn that mom is a person with actual needs and not just a service provider, right? Have you felt like that? Or a butler. Now, I want to handle an objection though really quick, because you may be saying, hey, well, I work out with my kids and it's just fine. And if that genuinely works for you, fantastic. That's great. But I want you to really ask yourself, are you really progressing and getting stronger? Or are you just moving your body while managing all the chaos around you? Lifting weights, especially, once you pass the beginner point, which doesn't take very long in a structured program, it requires a lot of focus for safety. And I'm going to do an episode on safety soon. It may be the next episode. We'll see. But it's really important that you are handling those weights safely and that you're able to really be internally focused on what your body is doing. I think awareness is one of the biggest things that prevents injury, because you're sitting there and you're telling yourself, okay, is my core tight? Okay, where's the position of my feet? Are my knees tracking over my toes? Am I doing this? And if you've got some kids fighting in the corner while you're trying to do this, that's a recipe for potential injury. But if you're not challenging yourself hard enough that you're having to focus on all that, then I would say you're just moving your body and you're probably not progressing that much. If you're a new beginner, maybe that'll work for a time. But there will come a point where you're really going to have to get your head in the game to make a lot of progress. And it's not hard, but it is a challenge that requires focus. The last thing that I want to talk about here before I go into some solutions if you feel like you can't get away from your kids, because that's a reality for a lot of moms, and I know that. I want to address the fact that sometimes we feel guilty for taking time for ourselves. And maybe you're one of those moms that feels like you're the only one who can watch their kids. And I know how that feels too. But I want to remind you and reassure you that your kids need you, absolutely. And they need you to be healthy and they need you to be strong. So it's a matter of giving them what they need and not what they want. And it's not selfish. It's maintaining yourself. In the past couple episodes, I talked about how moms are critical infrastructure to their families and they need maintenance. And that's what strength training is, okay? All right, so I want to address how can you actually make this work if you have to work out and you cannot. It's like you have kids at home all day, right? That situation. You're not somebody that sends their kids off to school. So I have some practical solutions for you. And I do empathize with your situation because it's really difficult. Maybe your spouse works really long hours. You don't have family nearby and you know, your kids all stay home, or maybe you homeschool your kids. And I'm not going to tell you just to figure it out because you're creative and you can solve problems. Although I believe that. I believe you can. It goes back to, do you have a solution mindset or a problem mindset? I've talked about this on the podcast before, where there's people that all they can see is the problem. And you give them a solution and they're like, no, that won't work. And all they can think about is reasons why things won't work, instead of having a mindset that is trying to actively come up with a solution, creative, out of the box. How can they solve that? And I think that comes back to the fact that they believe that they can solve it. So I believe you can solve this problem of having kids at home and not having to work out with your kids or figure out some way to strength train when you have kids that stay home. So I'm going to give you some starting points, but you need to customize it for your situation. So I have some options for you. So the first one, and this is my favorite, and this is what I did, was I found a gym with good childcare. I used the YMCA, and yes, it does cost some money. It is not as expensive as getting your kids in baseball practice, though. I can guarantee that. Or karate, or pretty much any other thing that you can have your kids do. Okay, I'm just going to be honest there. It's not that expensive. And of course, it depends on what gym, right? If you're going to a super duper fancy gym, then probably it will be more expensive. But there's a lot of reasonably priced gyms that have good childcare. So it does cost money, but I believe you are worth the investment. I 100% believe that. And I want you to believe that too. So that's the first one, is finding a gym with good childcare. The second option for you is you can trade childcare with another mom, an hour for an hour. So the temptation will be, let's get together and work out together. Just try not doing that. Just like one time. Yes, maybe, y'all can hang out afterwards. That's a fantastic idea. But really give yourself that focus time, even if it's 30 minutes. Hey, I'll work out for the first 30 minutes and get through my workout and then I'll watch all the kids and you get through the second 30 minutes and then we're both done in an hour. Just so you can have that time to really push yourself, to challenge yourself, and to not have to have your nervous system scanning around for things going on with the kids. The third option I have for you is strategic screen time. So pick your training days, and on those days, the kids get a show during your workout. It really helps if you don't let them watch a lot of screens. like at any other time. That's the strategy I use with my kids. They hardly get any screens ever. And so when they get a screen, they're like glued to it. And it's really great for when I have to get some stuff done and be really focused. So pick your time, and then they get a show during that time. Set them up, get the snacks or whatever, and then you go do what you're supposed to do. The last option is getting up before the kids get up. And this can work for some people, especially if you are protecting your sleep. And that is really important. You cannot be going to bed at 11 p.m. and expect to wake up at 5 a.m. so that you can strength train. That will defeat your efforts of trying to lose fat, because you're going to be messing up your hormones and causing yourself to have cravings if you're sleep deprived, and it'll backfire. But for some women, though, they can do that. They protect their sleep, they get up early, they like to get it done in the morning, and they do it well. And if that works for you, then that's fantastic. So start with one of these things. See what works, adjust, okay? And I want you to be sending yourself this message that you are worth problem solving for, okay? You can figure this out, all right? If you need help getting started with the what to do, like, well, what do I do if I'm working out with my kids at home? Or I want to go to the gym and I want to start with childcare and do that. What do I actually do? I have a free beginner strength training guide that you can click the link in the show notes and grab that, and that'll get you a structured starting point. It's designed with gym equipment in mind, but you can modify it and use dumbbells at home. And the thing though, the really critical piece though, is you need to start with deciding that you are important enough to have dedicated time to yourself. Okay, not someday, not when life calms down, because that's not going to happen. But now, you are a human, you are a person with goals, and you deserve to have some time to train your body and to be able to be focused on yourself. Okay? All right. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you next time on the Effective Weight Loss for Moms podcast.